better self-correction, better behavior. You understand? Another goal of the channel is to help you to increase and improve your communication, especially in terms of your lines of logic. The same voice you think with is the same voice you talk with. All right. If you don't make no sense when you talking, you probably don't make no sense when you thinking, and vice versa. And it turns into a whole cycle of nonsense and dumb shit. Okay. And also, ultimately, the point of this channel is to help y'all grow the hell up. Goodness freaking gracious. 6 past dice here. Let's get into it. We're going to get into a little bit of a we ain't gonna call it a deep dive. We're just going to kick it. I don't want you getting scared. Don't worry. Don't worry. Hold on. Let me go ahead and make sure my volume is correct. Because I would absolutely hate to be in here cooking and I'm not on the right mic. Pause. All right. So Miss Draya Michelle is in the news. Okay. For Draya Michelle has never been in the news for anything positive or anything cool or nothing like that. If anything, you know what? Draya Michelle is pretty much one of the prototypes for Brittany Renner. Okay. She came right before Brittany, in terms of being famous, right before Brittany Renner. Now, I can't tell you the exact year that she debuted on Basketball Wives, despite not being a basketball wife. Actually, she was on Basketball Wives for doing what she's doing now, being messy with an NBA player. All right. For the most part, Draya Michelle has always kind of been known as being a bit of a working girl for the most part, right? And and kind of a pass around, So she was pretty much an influencer before the influencer thing was a thing. You know what I'm saying? Before you could make a lot of money off of just your personality. Actually, one time, now that I'm thinking about it, right? When I was watching something with Brittany Renner, and Brittany Renner was talking about basically like how people talk about her, and they say, "Oh, what does she do? What's her talent? X, Y, and Z." Right? Which is a legit question. After all these years, 11 years later, we still don't know what Brittany Renner does. Right? Same thing with the Draya Michelle. But we know what they do. All right. These are people who have effectively monetized being pretty without having a modeling contract to being a supermodel or actor or just being on anyone's screen in anyone's production. That's interesting, right? If anything, we could also argue that people like Draya Michelle, Brittany Renner, Bernice Burgos, I'm not sure I'm saying her name correct. These are the kind of women, and on top of that, all the reality TV stars, the social media influencers, these are the kind of women who are a part of why women have a desire to just be pretty. In terms of what they need to bring to a relationship, they have the desire of, well, I'm just going to bring this, okay, or I got this, and it's so great that it should make up for everything else. There is no such thing. There's no substitute for good humanity. I'll say it again. There is no substitute for being a good person. The world needs good people. I had a conversation with my brother and sister the other day, in particular my sister. I said, yo, we need more beautiful, nice, well-mannered young women in the world. We need more of you in the world. If you are a person out there, especially black folks, if you are excellent in any kind of way, if you are great, if you are a kind person, I don't mean that you've assigned yourself that identity. I'm talking about you actually are a nice person. If actually a nice person, a good person, someone that people look forward to seeing, you open to the world to put more of yourself into the world. We dying out here, beloveds. Okay. But anywho, they kind of represent or they've influenced women to want to be just a face in the body and not have to do any kind of real work. If anything, this is who y'all trying to imitate, is the woman that's not really connected to any man. And in terms of in a way that's permanent, in a way that's actually real. Okay. So in the video that we just watched, right, and it really sets up, it really kind of takes us into the mind of the modern woman when it comes to the decision making, what they prioritize, what they think is important, right? So the person interviewing her, and I don't know what show this is and whatnot. Now it's another thing too. No matter who you are, if you are the least bit famous, you can pretty much, how do I put it, increase your visibility, because there are an infinite amount of bloggers who will interview you. I might never ever see that girl again that's interviewing her. All right. But yet here, Draya Michelle she doesn't do anything. And she's being interviewed. Anywho, so she's being asked about a child, right? And basically about, do you want more kids? And that was the first question, right? So the interviewer naturally says, oh yeah, well, she starts to ask about her relationship and everything. And what Drea basically gets to is the point she gets to as well. Just because I want more children does not mean that I want a relationship. And this is kind of what we get. And again, I'll keep saying to y'all, women who don't have covering from a solid, honest, good dude. Listen, this is the importance of having people around you who are honest. Look how dumb she sounds. Not only that, she is representing the mindset where the modern woman, in particular the black woman, separates child rearing or having kids with a relationship to the point where you don't even care about the child's upbringing and if they're going to be a well-rounded person. You don't care about that. More and more, when I talk to black women, I'm learning that y'all really don't care about the community. Y'all really don't care about what happens next, what happens in the future. And that's mostly because women don't think far ahead. Because you can't be an emotional being, right? And someone who feels so much at the same time think 100 years ahead. The older a man gets, the more further ahead he thinks. So he starts to plan for emergencies. Women don't really effectively plan for emergencies like that, bro. Not really. If that was the case, there wouldn't be no Travelicious. If y'all really was in tune with what your financial situation actually is, what you actually can afford, all women do for the most part is reward themselves and say, well, I work hard, so therefore I deserve this bag, I deserve this trip. All things you can't afford. All things keeping you in debt. But anywho, she touches on saying, well, two people can get together and co-parent. I may feel like I want a kid, you want a kid. Men never do that. That's a fucking movie. That's a storyline you made up. Men do not just say, man, I just really want a kid. I just really want a child, man. So you know what I'm going to do? I want to just go ahead and get with someone who's going to put me on child support, and I just do not benefit from her as a woman whatsoever. And that's another aspect of how she's responding. She, in her mind, in the modern woman's mind, the man is not supposed to benefit whatsoever. Because let me tell you something right now. If she just felt like I just wanted to have a child, she wouldn't have waited until she was able to nab a young man in the prime of his life in the NBA. She could have done that with any man, but you picked a high value man to do it with. Right? Also furthers the point that black women, and again, these are not my original talking points. I got some Crimson Curl, I got some Angry Man, people like that, and they point these things out about how black women actually see kids and the men and the rest of the people in the community, right? And her mind, in Drea's mind, that child is to serve a purpose for her. And obviously, we can tell what that purpose is. So, if you guys have been living under, I'm sorry, let's start again. Unless you guys have been living under a rock, you should know that Draya Michelle, she was already in the news for dating this young man. Everybody was already saying, you like 40 years old, big 40. You like 40 years old dating this young guy. Now, for people who are slow, who say dumb shit like, oh, what's the problem? Wait, hold on. Let's just get to it. Hold on, man. Let me show you this other John real quick. Read them in week, boys. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. Somebody wrote on Twitter, Drake is 37 dating Lotto's 21-year-old sister. Isn't this the same as Drake dating at 38 dating a 22-year-old man? Of course, let's go ahead and read a few comments. Crazy how women want to be men in these times. Somebody wrote, look at the double standards. Everyone trying to justify Drake but crucify Draya. She's over 18. Who cares? Slow day in the office. Women don't, a little Scrappy said, women don't want to be wrong, boy, until it's their son or daughter. What can a 22-year-old, I'm sorry, what it says, what can a 22-year-old young man teach a 38-year-old woman outside of the financial security that she would gain? Difference is Drake isn't dating her for money or a come up. The difference is he isn't trying to get her pregnant and trapped at 21. We can go ahead and close it from there because you kind of get where I'm going. You get the concept. You understand, man. Six pass dice, Mr. Lane, if you need me. Shout out to the good sis, Six the guy that's always kicking bars. My sis said, if you are a woman and you want to do what men do, you are a scum. That's a bar. Let it sink in. I'm gonna sip some more coffee and shift to the side while y'all digest that. If you are a woman, or if you are a woman and you want to do what the men do, you are a scum. Let's go ahead and expand on that for a little bit. Okay. Your honor lies in if you are a woman, being as feminine as possible. That's the beginning of being righteous. All right, because that means that you are acting in a way that's fruitful, it's healthy, and normal. You are a man, being as masculine, that should be your pursuit. For the most part, don't get me wrong, we lost our way a little bit because of how we've been socialized as men and whatnot. But for the most part, men, even in being wrong, we're still trying to self-correct in a way that's righteous, in a way that doesn't hurt no one or exploit no one or take from someone else. But if you're a man, you should try to be as masculine as possible and be as righteous as possible when navigating through life, and vice versa for the women. Okay. So if y'all have a hard time understanding this stuff, I give you a metaphor. Lucky for you, I'm a rapper. I rap. I do metaphors all day long. I give you a metaphor. If a man says that, yo, listen, it's just one of those days. All right. I'm not happy all the time. I'm not always okay. If everything's not okay, I'm not going to act like it's okay. Sometimes I'm like this, sometimes I'm like that. Okay, so if I cuss you out yesterday, listen, it's not always going to be. I'm not always going to be the same person. NC. We've heard a guy talk. We've heard guys get angry before. We've all heard a guy maybe not say that exact same thing, but for men, the way it will be expressed would be from more so from the standpoint of him complaining. Like for example, at my job, right? I'll experience that a lot, and you kind of get a feel for you get to see the shared behaviors between people that are in a certain place in their life. And one thing you always hear is complaining. And complaining usually is the absence of problem solving, especially for a man. I'm not saying that I don't care about what you're going through. I'm not saying that you deserve to go through whatever you're going through, right? But at the same time, what we're not going to do. Hold on, y'all. Look, I have my light looking and whatnot. What we're not going to do is just you're not going to be absolved from your divine right as a man, if I can call it that, right? I love saying divine for everything, divine, divine right, divine donuts. You know what I'm saying? Divine fried chicken, everything that can be divine. One of your divine rights is the fact that no matter what happens, you can change the situation. And if you can't, you should die trying. Because what the hell else are you doing? No one wants to hear a man complain, especially other men who do not complain. Oh, I can't stand it. You know how bad I want to tell them, yo, I'm here to support you. I got your back, beloved, but you got to do a little work, man. You got to show me a little love too, beloved. Because how can I help you if you over here yelling at me? And I had nothing to do with your situation, okay? But that's how it looks now. Woman can be emotional. She can be vulnerable, all right? And listen, to a certain degree, it's a double standard. Not that men can't do it at all, but no one has a tolerance for a man who throws tantrums or is emotional, and also more importantly is the complainer who looks to have his problem solved by other people, okay? And for the most part, No one has tolerance for a man who can't do his own problem solving. Because every example I can give you is going to be based off of him not doing no problem solving. You know what I'm saying? Another one is going to be looking or feeling entitled to a woman's resources or other people's resources in general. Okay. Now, a woman can have her own place, right? The only way it can be respected or acceptable for a man to move in with a woman is if he damn near coming in and damn near take over a majority of the bills. And even then, because her name is on the lease, for the modern woman, any power she has, she will exercise that power, and that's another parallel of the white supremacist, the white supremacist mindset that the modern woman has. You know what I'm saying? It's like, under Jim Crow, right? The lowliest white person still had the power to ruin the black person's life almost at will, because they can weaponize the system or the government or the laws against them, because we actually had actual legislation against us specifically. Okay, wasn't that long ago that people got letters from colleges saying we cannot give you admission because you are a colored person. We are not admitting any colored students at this moment. Wasn't that long ago that young black boys and girls was going to school with white folks and getting rocks and shit thrown at them and getting spit on because they want to go to school with them. That's crazy. Anywho, so that's a part of the framework. You know what I'm saying? Is how we look at things, right? And recognizing what's a healthy mindset and an unhealthy mindset. Okay. What we see in that comment section when they're doing the parallel between Drake and Draya Michelle, I'm gonna tell you a few things. First of all, Drake being 37 and that girl being 21, 22. First of all, if that's always going on, age gap dating is nothing new, okay? Because it's something different if like that girl don't want him or she's not attracted to him. That's always been going on. The bad chicks, the attractive girls, they have more men available to them. From high school, them girls will always be plucked, and on top of that, they have an appetite and a desire for older men. All women are attracted to older men who have their ish together. All women are attracted to attract, especially attractive older men, because women are attracted to security and maturity. All right, and when the man gets older, he has that in spades. All right. Not only that, he's ready for a relationship. A man needs time to get there, whereas a woman has all the same equipment that she's going to have at 16, 17, and 18. I'm not saying she should be dating seriously at 16, 17, 18, but it's the same equipment. And now we got to a point where more than ever, because women stay single for so long, the women are not maturing because you're not tethered to a man. The man anchors you and stops. You are a balloon. If you're a woman, you are a face on a balloon. And if the man don't anchor you and hold the string, you will go into the clouds, never to be seen again. All right, you're gonna get hit by 747 going through the friendly skies. Happens every time. Okay. Going against why Dre being 39 years old and why this is an issue. All right. First of all, every young man, when you try to holler at an older woman or a girl that was even a year or two older than you, we've all heard that you was too young and you ain't got what it takes. I'm gonna tell you when that rule when that don't matter. When he has the resource. When a man has resources, his age for a lot of women will not matter, especially when she's single. And again, and this story proves a few different things. It proves how women see resources, and also how what black women shared views on resources are. Heard brother attorney Dennis Sperling make a profound point about why when black men date out versus black women dating out, why it's not a problem for black women to date out, because of this. When the black woman gets with any kind of man, the resources go to her, and the sisterhood, the B-dubs, see it as a W, right? So if she gets with if a B-dub gets with a white guy, right, it's seen as, yes, we got some more resources, we up, right? Versus if for a man, when a man does it, it's almost the same as because again, because you are an object in this scheme. You're an object. You're a thing that's owned. You're a thing. That's the same as having a car. That I'm saying that it's yours. Well, let's say you think it's yours, then one day it just ain't there no more. Somebody drove it away, or let's just say let's say that when you walk by a dealership, you walk by a dealership and assume every car in there is mine. Every car in there I can have when I want, and it's mine, right? If I think that, right, and someone comes in and drives the car off the lot, I'm gonna look at it like I have less cars now. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but the point being is that they see it as resources leaving the community and leaving them ultimately. And also, again, women, all these things that go on, like the women always trying to correct men. Everything you've seen on social media right now, the shame and the silent language, all this type of shit. All these are means to control men because they can't do it physically, right? But if they can get you to think differently, you are now defeated. Hence the dating scene up until like now. For the most part, men, and again, this is all for the possibility of relations, the possibility of getting some action. Men will respectfully meet a woman and go out with him, and if nothing happens, he can take his L and say, "Yo, we went out and everything. I didn't hear from him again, got ghosted, whatever." Right? He gotta just take his L, right? And the man will keep doing that. He'll keep going out with chicks, I'm saying, and keep spending money on dates, all for the possibility and everything, and not and up until recently, up until these conversations about which have been going on for 10 years, but they become more popular over the last, I would say, last 4 or 5 years. That up until recently, men didn't even think that, what? How about we stop dating? How about we all get on the same page and stop taking girls on these extravagant dates? Because all these expectations come from guys messing up the ecosystem to begin with. But anywho, I'm not gonna get off on a bit of a tangent, right? But overall, right, when a woman is older, she can't really get anything. She can't really have a good relationship with someone who's almost 20 years her junior. All right. Also, what's also scary is the fact that we just seen that interview where she's being asked about having kids and everything, and you can see that this is a great case study. That clip I showed you where Draya is saying with the most straightest face ever that just because I have a child with someone does not mean that I have to be with them. So many words. It's not about you. It's about the child. It's not for you exactly. It is for you as well, but this is a person. This shows how seriously these women take human life. This is the kind of women that the young girls are trying to model themselves after, whether they realize or not. Now, Draya is should be retired, should be out the game. Let me tell you something right now. A woman that's that pretty should not be unmarried. Listen, let me tell you something right now. If you come across a really attractive woman past 30 years old and she's not coming out of a long-term relationship and whatnot, she got issues. Okay. But the next part of the conversation that I want to get into is also this situation between Jalen Green and Draya Michelle shows how predatory modern women are when it comes to a man's resources, time, and affection, but most importantly, his resources. Okay. Now, predatory in terms of removing having desire, but removing empathy and sympathy and stuff like that, right? When an animal is hunting, the animal never thinks, man, if I eat this animal, they kids won't have a father or mother, or if I eat this animal, someone's gonna lose a son or a daughter. That's not what an animal thinks about. Animal thinks about their own personal gifts. So predator means, in this case, and really in all cases, I'm only thinking about my own survival. I'm also going to touch on that. About the negative impact of a survival mindset. Survival meaning that I'm deep in survival mode. Okay. Now, someone like Drake, I don't know what her upbringing is and whatnot. I will be doing a parallel between her and Nature Boy. Nature Boy was the Eligio Bishop. He just got sentenced to life in prison. He is the cult leader of the Carbon Nation, but we'll get into that at a different time. But what Draya is doing is she's showing you also when depending on scratch, she has no values and morals, no real values and morals, and we're seeing. We thought that we didn't need religion. Y'all are showing that no, y'all need religion. Y'all need religion, and religion led by men with actual rules. Because when there's no rules, like no matter what, yo, if a woman don't have proper male leadership in her life, she will always wind up in stupid situations, looking stupid or looking crazy in some kind of way. No matter what, we all know this is not cool. She has effectively ruined this guy's life. Because all that's going to happen is you're going to have this child, stop dealing with him, and now he got to pay child support at 21. At 21 years old, he has to be taxed for making a mistake with really someone that he is not equipped to deal with. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. Draya looks like she got moves. I ain't gonna hold you. She looked like she can get you away from your woman. If you think a woman that's that old, that's around 40 years old, that experience has been with this many I guess you can say high-powered men. If you think that, first of all, that's how she got here. Okay, she hunted that boy the same way that Brittany Renner hunted PJ Washington. She was at his, I think she was at his high school games, his college games, scouting. These women do that. Don't ever think that women with women. Now listen, you know how you know that a woman is hunting? When she come outside with her best foot forward. The best time to probably talk to a girl, to be honest with you, now that you can really think about it, is when she look good. If she look good that day, you probably should try. If she give you a look and she look good that day, that means she's hunting. That means she's ready to go. Okay. So anywho, but I want to also touch on why you have women in the comment section speaking on it and basically saying, I don't see what the problem is. They're both grown, right? Or trying to bring in a parallel between her and Drake. First of all, it's a double standard. That's why it's called a double standard. It's plenty of things that women can do that men cannot do. Okay. And that's how it's always going to be because we're two different people. Of course, you can't do what I do. I can't do what you do. Okay. But what it is also, and I point this out to men as much as I can about you need to realize what being on code is, okay, as men. And recognizing that the reason why women have been able to dominate dating and change how we all interact in general is because they got on code, they got on the same page. They say, all right, and listen, they may or may not be having meetings at over there down at the Mason Lodge and getting together and shit and raising their hand and paying dues, right? But women, they do what kids do. If a kid finds out that his parents let him stay up to 11 o'clock at night, you know what I'm saying, before he go to bed, he may not stay up to 11, but he gonna try. He gonna be thinking like, hold on, so Tommy get to stay up to 11. I'm a kid too, right? I should be able to do the same. Or Tommy has this toy. How come I can't get that toy? You're gonna find out why you can't get that toy. But you get it. You get the concept, right? But what women will do is they'll see or hear that, oh, Stacy got that. Oh, shit, I'll look better than that nigga. You know what I mean? So why shouldn't I be able to get that? And again, this is what I mean by how far ahead women think and how logical women are. Women won't even consider that. She won't even consider that that's her life. Those are her hand. Those are her circumstances. Okay. Not only that, the likelihood. Okay. I'm sorry. So but women are always on code. And again, the women see it more like it's a win for us because because we're keeping the money in house. As long as that money goes to a black woman or a black woman or a woman that seem black, all right, we cool. As long as it don't go to a non-black woman, you know what I'm saying, all right, we Gucci, right? And not only that, also, so you got to realize that what people co-sign, it represents the same things that they want to be able to get away with. They want to be, if they want to do the same thing or something like that, basically be a predator, because they understand that if they allow her to be shamed or ridiculed and whatnot, that means that they got to deal with it too. That's one more thing that black men have just started doing, is that when things ain't good or we want to prove some shit, nah, because that's what the Russell Wilson thing is about. The reason why there's a pushback on black men with the passport bro thing and the Russell Wilson things, because black men pushing back against that represents black women having to make better decisions and not having an out and being forced to work things out with the person you started a relationship with. I'm gonna keep touched on this shit. Crimson Gear had a brilliant live about covenant versus contract. And the contract is a business. We both are not, we're not bound in a spiritual way. If either one of us wants to leave the business and whatnot, we can arrange for that to happen. But with that comes a certain mindset. If it's a business mindset, I'm going to be concerned about myself. I'm gonna do what's best for me. All right. If I start feeling like this guy is not good to work with no more, I can walk away and everything, which is very different from what's supposed to be a lifetime commitment. People move differently when they feel as though there's no way out. That's one of the reasons why you get along with your coworkers and not people you're in a relationship with. Because for a coworker, you realize that I don't have much of a choice when it comes to getting along with them. There is no, I'm just not going. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people still can't get along, but you make the effort to get along with the person that you work with because they're not going nowhere. You can't get rid of them. You can't stop talking to them. And it should be the same thing for relationships, especially when you're making people. You are making people. You understand? Man, you know what? They gotta chill out when my bad, y'all. Now to my next point, and maybe I'm gonna cut it short after this. What I find to be most interesting and most profound, especially if you're an attractive male at all, well, more so for black boys. If you are at all attractive and or just around, all black boys have experienced being pretty much, I don't want to say being art, being like statutory art by an older girl. But I had a friend that was 15 years old, and he was sleeping with a girl that was 20 years old at the time, a whole adult. When he was turning 18, he was in a whole relationship with a woman who was 33 years old. 33. Which at the time I knew was bad. It wasn't good. No one did anything about it. No one said, yo, this ain't going on in my house. Now, mind you, this girl lived in a mostly family with her family and whatnot, right? And I can remember at that time, me and him had stopped talking for a little bit. Then when I started talking to him again, he had this girlfriend and whatnot. He had countless stories about how this woman was so abusive towards him. She ain't beat him up or nothing like that, but like, yo, she hit him a few times. Okay. She basically would treat him like a sex slave. You know what I'm saying? I remember her telling me like, yo, when he would be over there and whatnot, you know what I mean, spending time with her and everything, she'll do ish like telling me, yo, you can't make no noise or you can't turn the TV on. Basically, but she say she's sleeping and whatnot. Like basically, like she would treat him basically like her pet / son and everything. You know what I mean? And the reality is this: whenever young men get into a relationship with older women, she will almost always abuses him. Whenever the woman also, and that's another example of how women can be predatory. Whenever the woman sees you as less cunning or less toxic or less aggressive or whatever it is and whatnot, she treats you like prey even more. She tries to dominate you even more. Even myself, like, yo, when I was 17 and whatnot, I met this older lady and whatnot. She was 28 and everything, right? At 17. Like, and you know, now mind you, she didn't look good, nothing like that. She was, she was all right, okay looking and whatnot. Either way, I had no business dealing with her. And even before that, when I was 16, I met a woman who was 28. That was like really, gave me her number and everything. All right. And I'm young. I'm just because another thing too is, young men at that point, we're very sexually driven. So in our minds, all we can think of is like, yo, I'm about to knock down this older John. You know what I mean? That's all we thinking about is another conquest. Also, sex is still new to you. All right. And I had a few experiences, and I'm trying to think, yeah, I had at least 3 or 4 women that were way older than me, like that was trying to like really, get with me. You know what I'm saying? I was younger. You know what I mean? And had I really been with it, I could have been with all of them. You know what I mean? Now, luckily they didn't look real good down like that. Oh, I'd have been in trouble. That's another reason why this thing with Draya is really messed up. Because Draya is a really good looking woman and everything. And so for him, now mind you, like very few women can be almost 40 years old, and you can look at her. I'm looking at her on screen like, wow, like she looks great. That's the rare thing. Like she is a beautiful. I can say nowhere. Like she's a very attractive woman, right? So for his brain sees her as a young woman, kind of, you know what I mean? And she's really attractive, and trust me, she got moves and charm and charisma. You can't help but gain that, when you're dealing with these kind of men, right? So, anywho, yeah, man. So the fact that I also saw in the comments about, oh yeah, the shame, it should also be shame on his family for not giving him more game, and yeah, there's a point there, but so and yeah, no, let's just stay there for a second. I can say, yo, I'm gonna give you one more just really quick story. My mom had a friend that she knew from when we was growing up, and now I realize that I think she ran into her at the career center over there, for like basically for people that's on, that's getting cash assistance and whatnot. So she ran into her down there, and she lived nearby, and she started kind of coming around. At the time, this is when we first started to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and we started first practicing Buddhism. So she was trying to shakabuku her. Shakabuku is when you introduce someone to Buddhism, right? And you sponsor them and you support them in their practice, right? So I remember her coming around. She had like a new baby. I think her name was Tamika, something like that, right? And I remember like her coming around. Lena was coming over and whatnot a little more often. And then I remember like not seeing her, right? And I might have asked my mother about like what happened, and my mom basically said in so many words that she made a comment about you that I didn't really like. And at that time, you would think she would tell me, Kassan, listen, you could do what you want, Kassan, but you can't be getting involved with women who are significantly older than you, and explaining to me that they are predators, right? And you can't have anything long term with someone who's way older than you. Okay. And also who those kind of women are, and what all this stuff means, right? She didn't have that talk with me. I don't understand why, but she didn't tell me the kind of women to really avoid. Never had a conversation with me to this day. Like I tell my brother all the time, no big backs, no ugly chicks, and no older women. All right. Because at any given time, y'all can wind up together forever. And now this person is always going to be attached to you. All right. But overall, this feeds into my point about how black boys are not protected from nothing. And in particular, other black women. Your mother will not give you no information, no game to protect yourself from other black women who mean you harm. And again, my mom loved me. Grandma loves me. I can't really I can't think of a time or think about conversations that we had growing up where they said, avoid this kind of woman. Don't deal with this kind of woman. Never. Never said that shit. Never. So anywho, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, man. 6 Paths Dice, Mr. Lane. If you need me, man, like, share, and subscribe, man. Have a good day, guys.